Aloha, good morning. Um, Welcome to the Japanese Tsunami Marine Debris Mini Conference. Thanks to Kauai Community College and the Marine Option Program and Surfrider Foundation Kauai Chapter for hosting and organizing this event. We're going to come together now for Pule.
Aloha. Mahalo ke akua, mahalo ke kai, mahalo ka aina, mahalo ka lani. Mahalo for this life we all have and the beautiful lunar eclipse we had this morning and the full moon. And thank you for everything that we all have. Let us all appreciate this life that we have and every moment that we have, and appreciate this conference, and please bless this conference and all the NOAA knowledge that can give us. Please let us remember all the victims of the tsunami in March, the 15,000 victims plus, and tomorrow is the 9-month anniversary of this tragedy. And there is a Olelo No'eau by Mary Kavena Pokui that's Aya I Ke Ko A Ke Au, and it means whichever way the currents blow. And one of the kauna behind that is that only time will tell what will happen with all of this, but please help us all learn from the tragedy and really appreciate what we have. Mahalo ke akua, many.
Thank you all very much for being here. Again, special thanks to Surfrider, Kauai Community College, and the Marine Option Program for putting this together. I do work for NOAA. I work for NOAA's Marine Debris Program. I am our only staff member out here in the Pacific. We're a Washington, D.C. based program of right now about 10 people strong, just to give you an idea of the breadth of our program right now. But I stand up here representing not just my program, but all of the different agencies, organizations, programs, offices within NOAA, EPA, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Coast Guard, Navy, universities, industry that we have been collaborating with and working together with on this issue here. So I'm here to share with you today some of the information that we've gathered and some of the updates and give you an idea of what's going on and what we're doing. So here's a brief overview of my presentation. Provide you a brief background. You've already heard a lot from Dr. Maximenko. Talk about what we know and some of the things that we don't know that we are trying to learn more about right now. Computer model predictions. Show you another model. This is our NOAA Ocean Surface Current Simulator model, the OSCARs. Answer some questions, tell you what we know about how much debris is out there. Radioactivity, which I won't get into a lot. You already heard from Dr. Dulaiopa quite a bit about that. And then most importantly, get into what we are doing. As you can see on the picture on the right, that's a typical shoreline up in the northwestern Hawaiian Islands. I believe that's either Midway or possibly Laysan. There's quite a lot of marine debris that reaches our island chain normally. Marine debris is not a new problem, but definitely events such as the Japan tsunami and the marine debris from this event bring it into our mind's eye. So very early on, these are some of the photos that have been published in the media. These were taken by the U.S. Navy Pacific Fleet, who went out in Operation Tomodachi to help soon after the Japan tsunami. Some of what the media doesn't share about these photos, this is not what the debris fields look like at this point. This was not taken last month or 2 months ago. These photos were taken on March 11th and March 12th. When the debris was, like Dr. Maximenko mentioned, in these debris fields. They were in large concentrations, very close together, clusters, patches of debris off the coast of Sendai is where these were taken. The one on the bottom right-hand side gives you an idea of some of the types of marine debris that we may be seeing resulting from the Japan tsunami. There's a boat there. You see some buoys, quite a lot of wood, and some other waste materials there. Our program has helped in the response after Hurricanes Katrina and Rita. We also coordinated a project in American Samoa after the tsunami there. And from our past experiences, what we've seen is that quite a bit of debris after a tsunami and after a natural disaster sinks out near shore. How much of it, how much percent of it, it really differs for the event and for the place, but likely there's quite a bit sitting on the bottom offshore of Japan as well. As Dr. Maximenko also mentioned, there was satellite tracking of the debris that was done very soon after the tsunami. We worked with NASA. Our NOAA satellite service worked with NASA. NASA gave us satellite imagery. We analyzed that imagery, and we were able to track the debris offshore of Japan. And we were able to track it up until April 14th. At that point, the debris fields that we were tracking, those larger concentrations that are more visible with satellite imagery, the debris had dispersed to a point where we could no longer track it with our satellites. So kind of giving you an idea of how fast that debris really did disperse and kind of disappeared off of our screen for now. So since then, there has been no actual real-time tracking of this debris. So, like I mentioned, marine debris, it's not a new problem, and these are the mechanisms, very generalized, within the North Pacific Ocean, at least ocean currents-wise, that moves marine debris. And as you'll see with what our Oscars model projects, you'll see the debris pattern and the movement moving in much the same way with these large oceanographic currents. A lot of you have probably heard of the North Pacific Gyre or the North Pacific Subtropical Gyre. And that is the four very large currents. Let's see if I can use this mouse. The North Pacific, so from Japan across the Pacific East, the North Pacific Current, down the California Current, around with the North Equatorial, and then up with the Kuroshio. Those four oceanographic currents together make up the North Pacific Subtropical Gyre. Within the gyre, you can see in the white box, that is the extent of our Hawaiian archipelago, main Hawaiian Islands and northwestern Hawaiian Islands included. Above that sits an area called the convergence zone. This is an area that NOAA studies quite a lot because not only is it high in biota, but it is also high in marine debris. It's an area of big convergence, tends to accumulate, concentrate marine debris. With that area, the two areas in orange that you see there, the one on your right-hand side, probably the most well-known, the so-called Great Pacific Garbage Patch. It's the North Pacific subtropical high. It's a rotating mass of water that concentrates marine debris. We think there's one to the west. Sailors and other folks have reported seeing concentrations of marine debris off the coast of southern Japan, and we think that's there as well. It's a smaller recirculation gyre. So this is the output from our NOAA model. It's based off of, it's a different model than Dr. Maximenko's, but as a science-based agency, we are looking at all of the models that may possibly play a role in predicting the trajectories and movement of marine debris, particularly for Japan's tsunami marine debris. Naval and Oceanography Office has their model. U.S. Coast Guard has a search and rescue model. We at NOAA, we have our Oscars model. We also have our some other models that we use for oil spill response. So in the green circle, I've tried to show you the Hawaiian archipelago there. And the years are marked in different colors. Year 1 in red, so you can see the debris moving across, potentially skimming the northern areas of our northwestern Hawaiian Islands. Year 2 approaching the west coast. Year 3 coming back. Year 4 and 5 more towards the main Hawaiian Islands. What this and other models don't take into consideration is that every piece of debris that we put into this model, every point, exists throughout the entire 5 years of the model run. It doesn't take into consideration debris degradation, waterlogging, sinking of the debris, or the real-time effects of waves and storms and other wave activity that go on every day. So in general, here's what we know. At this point, debris is dispersed, not at all in the large concentrations or the fields or the patches that we saw very early on in the photos. Likely, quite a bit of debris sank near shore off the coast of Japan. For our computer models, it is very difficult to predict an exact date and location of debris arrival on any of our shores. Like Dr. Maximenko so well explained, we can give you a ballpark, we can, like the weather, we can tell you, winter's going to be colder, this one's going to be drier. We cannot give you an exact because these are computer models. They, again, do not take into account debris degradation or the effects of real-time weather and waves on this debris. Something else that we know. So this is what our Oscars model predicts, and it's somewhat in line with what Dr. Maximenko's model has also predicted. So the northwestern Hawaiian Islands is early as potentially this January, February, this winter. West coast of the United States, 2013. Circling back to Hawaii, more likely the main Hawaiian Islands, 2014 to 2016. From these models, it looks like there's potentially little to no debris movement south of 15 degrees north latitude. Again, you and I both know there's no wall at 15 degrees north latitude, and these are computer models. So this is not to say that a piece of debris cannot go beyond 15 degrees north latitude, but that's what our models show right now. The radioactivity question, dangerous levels of radioactivity. We are working with both EPA, the State Department of Health, Food and Drug Administration is monitoring, as well as experts in the field like Dr. Dulayova. And what we're telling folks is that it's highly unlikely, but dangerous levels, I should say, are highly unlikely on the debris. But we are working on protocols and will be monitoring through these agencies who are the experts in radioactivity. This is a map on the right-hand side. It's one of the ones that Dr. Maximenko already showed. And folks in the main Hawaiian Islands, as well as the West Coast, have been asking us, where is this debris going to come up? If and when it does show up, where is it going to wash up? And it's going to wash up where we see marine debris now. And NOAA did do 2 overflight assessments in 2006 and 2008 to try and get a better idea in the main Hawaiian Islands as to where this stuff typically accumulates. And it is along most of our windward shores. There's a little collection area near South Point on the Big Island, but those types of areas are very far and few between. For the most part, it's the eastern shores of most of our main Hawaiian Islands. And while we did only look at derelict fishing gear, other debris tends to collect in areas where this larger debris collects as well. So here's what we don't know, and it's 2 really big questions. How much debris is still out there afloat, and what types of debris are still out there afloat? Right now, there is no current verifiable accurate estimate of how much debris, even when in the water with the Japan tsunami. It was mentioned before that 25 million tons, that was the estimate of total disaster debris from the Ministry of the Environment in Japan. That's both earthquake and tsunami debris. That is their estimate. Now in the media, I know numbers have been going around anywhere from 5 to 20 million tons of stuff is coming at us. It's very unlikely that 80% of that 25 million washed into the ocean and is still afloat today. 5 million tons, how much percentage is really still afloat at this point is a really large question that we don't have an accurate estimate for at this point. What types of debris are out there? We're starting to gather information from some of the sightings that have gone, and I'll show you some of the other things that we're doing to try and get to answering some of these questions. One of them, Nikolai already showed the results of the sightings from the STS Palada. Radioactivity level normal, but TV set, fridge, couple of other home appliances, wood boards, plastic bottles, buoys from fishing nets, objects resembling a wash basin, drums, and other wastes, as well as the fishing boat that they brought on board. We had a report from a private shipping company of plastic covers, black drums, wooden boxes. I'll show you the results of that report. And a lot of this stuff, it is very difficult to source back and say, yes, that TV set, that was definitely from Japan tsunami marine debris. you would be shocked and awed as to the types of marine debris that we typically get up in the northwestern Hawaiian Islands. And I'll show you a picture of a TV set sitting on Midway Atoll. So it is really difficult to source this stuff. The fishing vessels, most definitely. The Coast Guard back in August did cite a fishing vessel, and that fishing vessel's home port was Fukushima. So those types of things we can definitely say. Definitely the large and unusual items, we don't tend to get a lot of refrigerators up in the northwestern Hawaiian Islands. We can assume. But at this point, what is still out there floating, these sightings are helping us, but we don't know for certain. That's that fishing boat you saw earlier. So this is what we're doing. We are working, I am working every single day on this issue, believe it or not. We are working with other federal agencies, state agencies, county, academia, industry to try and get together, because right now, and very realistically, there was no Japan Tsunami Marine Debris Fund laying in wait for this to happen, for all of us to tap into. There are limited resources and unfortunately very limited funding right now for all of this. So we are going and banging on doors and working a lot through our different partners and our partnerships to get the stuff done that needs to happen now. We are learning and collecting information, which I'll share with you a little of the details of what we're doing. We are planning and we are communicating. So for learning, we are collecting information as rapidly as it comes in on data, on sightings at sea. We have a general call out for any significant sightings of marine debris in the North Pacific. We have set up a Gmail address for those sightings to go to. This email address went out in a U.S. Department of Transportation merit advisory to all U.S. mariners. We have gotten this through our partners at the Chamber of Shipping of America. Our entire NOAA Pacific fleet of ships is on the lookout for marine debris. Shipping companies like Matson Navigation, we have talked with them and they are on the lookout. We have gotten this out through every ship that volunteers in our National Weather Service's Observing Ship program. It is also in the hands of every NOAA observer that staffs, that has a representation on most of our Hawaii longline industry. We are also still pursuing trying to get aerial assets out there. We want to do overflights. We don't have the planes readily available and open to us. We want, and we have gone to the Coast Guard, trying to work with the Navy, and trying to work within our own agencies to get those aerial assets freed up from their normal duties to do special flights out there so we can put eyes on the water on these locations where our models all tell us debris is likely to be and see what we can see. We are also at the same time trying to work on getting high-resolution, commercial-grade satellite imagery. And we're working both with the Department of Defense as well as within NOAA and the Coast Guard and our Hawaii National Guard to try and get access to what can be very expensive, actually, satellite imagery. And we are making some headway in that as well. For Shoreline marine debris information data collection, this is the area where the public can really get involved and help us out. We have gotten a lot of questions from interested public, a lot of environmental groups, and as was mentioned, we do have, it's a more rigorous and long data sheet, but we have made available our shoreline monitoring guide and data sheet for anyone who wants to go out there and start getting a baseline data for what is your normal amount of marine debris now, so that when Japan tsunami debris potentially starts washing up, you'll be able to notice that. We also have marine debris collection monitoring going on Turn Island in French Frigate Shoals in the northwestern Hawaiian Islands. That's been going on with Fish and Wildlife Service since the early 90s. Midway Atoll, we have monitoring going on there, again with Fish and Wildlife Service. That's been going on for the last several years. And Gyre Atoll, working with the state of Hawaii to get marine debris information and shoreline monitoring conducted there as well. This is that reported sighting that I told you about from the private shipping company. They were en route from Oakland to Busan. This came in at the end of October. and they cited plastic covers, black drums, and wooden boxes. Again, this debris is really hard to source and pinpoint. Yes, definitely, this was Japan's tsunami marine debris. Dr. Maximenko could probably look at the location of that star and tell you whether or not it was, potentially Japan's tsunami marine debris based on where our models predict debris would be. I would say possibly not. Possibly this wasn't. This was just general marine debris. Again, you'd be surprised at what typically washes ashore and what we're used to getting, particularly in the northwestern Hawaiian Islands. So this is that TV that I mentioned, but here's the plan. We are working on a plan, on a response plan. We have set up an assessment and response framework. This is a guiding document meant for all regions of the U.S. potentially impacted by this debris. Obviously, right now it is focused on the northwestern Hawaiian Islands as the first area for potential impact. Underneath this framework document, subject matter expert groups have been formed and continue to be formed. These are being formed on the national as well as the regional level, and they are for topic areas such as potential cultural impacts, human health and safety, monitoring, data collection, data visualization, shoreline response, nearshore response, natural resources and impacts and response. All of these are ramping up. Specific right now to the northwestern Hawaiian Islands, as you can imagine, it's a tough road. These islands are not like going from Oahu to Kauai. They are very far away. It takes a lot of logistical planning, permitting, and cost to get up to these islands, particularly the northernmost islands, which may potentially see some of this debris. So response plans are forming with the information and expertise from these subject matter experts. And we are trying to get this information out as fast and as wide as humanly possible. And right now, I am one of very few people who are the point people for us on this, working really a lot of hours every day to try and get this information out as fast as possible. Again, the merit advisory, which was issued at the end of September to all U.S. mariners, it warned against potential navigation hazard for Japan's tsunami marine debris, also provided that email address where folks can report significant sightings. NOAA and EPA, we have a bulletin out that provides the public. If you're interested, you can sign up to receive this bulletin. We'll provide you with updates as far as the things that we are doing and working on. Going and talking to a lot of media to try and get this information out there, meetings with partners, stakeholders, etc., presentations such as this one, and for quick and dirty, fast information, we have our webpage. It's at our marinedebris.noaa.gov. It's on the right-hand side, FAQs, frequently asked questions for Japan's tsunami marine debris. And not to take up too much time, and I'm happy to answer questions, but thank you very much. I'll go back to the map here, which may give you, it's hard to conceptualize. Oops, there we go. So those are the clusters that we're talking about. So these are very large areas that we were able to see with the satellites that we had access to early on. Like I said, though, now we are going after even more high resolution, the more commercial Department of Defense grade satellite imagery, because we know it exists, to be able to see dispersed debris. So where we could only see large accumulations of it before, there are satellite imagery out there that can see individual pieces. Right now it's more along the lengths of about 100 feet or so. So we are working with scientists actually out of the University of Miami and across the nation to come up with algorithms to see if they can crunch it down to spot something that's 3 feet in width. but none of, this kind of stuff has not been done before, and it's typically quite expensive. But now with this, I hate to say opportunity, there's some partnerships that are starting to be built to really increase our knowledge and what we're doing in sort of at-sea detection of marine debris. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, one of the goals of our at-sea detection work has been trying to get it at sea and stop it, remove it before it has a chance to come close to shore and do the damage that it does, because we are very versed in dealing with marine debris once it's come ashore or got snagged on our reefs. Yes?
Do you have any sensors, like radioactive sensors in the water that can real time make available to the public the levels of radioactive in the water?
That's a good question. He asked if there are any radioactive sensors in our oceans, and I really don't know. NOAA's purview isn't exactly radioactivity, but I'm happy to ask our partners with the EPA, especially, if there are any sensors. I don't know of any, nor have any been brought to my attention recently. Perhaps Dr. Dulayova would have more information.
The debris, the radioactivity be in the same currents, like you expect them to track pretty similarly, like all your, I noticed you say there's 6 or 7 models. I'm assuming they don't share models, like you guys don't share each other's models. Is there any coordination between people sharing models and predicting that, well, this guy is a little bit better here, but not there?
Sure. There are. His question is very good. Is there any coordination being done between these different models? Yes. We don't want to put our eggs all in one basket. We want to do our due diligence and make sure that we are using the best possible information, particularly as we may have one shot at getting something like satellite imagery before they start charging us money, and we don't want to blow that shot. So there is coordination. We have a subject matter expert group on modeling, and they are convening all of the different modelers from the Navy, from the U.S. Coast Guard, from within NOAA. Dr. Maximenko, we've been in communication with him quite a lot. And like I said, we really want to be able to pinpoint that based on all the possible good information out there.
Are we looking at that? Are we learning that at earlier stages, if you had 1,000 people out there with boats scavenging, that this wouldn't be happening at this point? Do we think that way, or is that just too third world for us, which unfortunately I think is very progressive? I think we're all kind of figuring out that the more progressive is
Sure.
hands-on.
Sure.
Are we working with Indonesia? Are we looking at how they work and how we could work more effectively?
Sure. So the question was, are we working with Indonesia and potentially other countries or organizations as well who have, please tell me if I'm getting this incorrectly, but sort of the manpower to have launched maybe a massive cleanup effort to get the stuff out of the ocean before it dispersed too far or when it's coming here. We are doing things with Indonesia through the Asia Pacific Economic Conference, mostly to do with the derelict fishing gear right now. I would be interested in hearing more about the scavenging efforts being brought up. I actually haven't heard that before. But yes, so we are working with other folks there and other groups. As for the cleanup, mobilizing massive amounts of volunteers very early on for something like this has never been done before. The question was asked, have we experienced and what did we do with the Indian Ocean tsunami and some of the others? And really, this is the first time that we have dug back in the history, and this is the first time that we can see that that tsunami marine debris was looked at in such a way as, a potential opportunity to do something like that. So we are, I don't want to say not reinventing the wheel, we're really moving forward in a new area, in a new subject area that really hasn't been done. That's why these response plans don't already exist, or the Tsunami Marine Debris Fund doesn't already exist. It would make life a lot easier right now, had this been the second experience, and we've already done one before, but we are really forging the road in this particular issue, and that is a good idea. And, maybe for the next one, we'll have that in mind already and have units mobilized and ready to go, when the debris was in those field states before it got too far. But like I said, in this one, we're forging the way, and things like that don't necessarily come to fruition as quickly as they should have. You had your hand up.
Financially towards the huge cost of a lot of this research and the cleanup?
That's a good question. The question was, is the Japan government contributing to sort of this tsunami marine debris issue that we're faced with now? And at least speaking from a federal government level, we have to go through Department of State in these types of communications. And right now, first and foremost, the United States needs to realize that this was a human tragedy. It was devastating. As Dr. Maximenko mentioned, they're still dealing with a lot of their own particular issues, human loss of life, destruction, damage, and now radioactivity. So we have not pushed on the Japan government to try and get that.
I do think that source should be tapped specifically.
Absolutely.
Not that I don't feel a great deal of sympathy for what would happen. It was a natural disaster. But I do think they should contribute. It affects the world, worldwide.
Point taken. Yes. And recognizing there is a sensitivity there, but definite point taken. Thank you.
The feds to declare this a federal emergency so that Hawaii can get the funding?
That's a good question. So the question was, is there any activity in Washington, D.C. to get this declared a federal emergency? This does not fall in the realm yet of a federal emergency. We have walked that route and asked that question. And in order for, I'm not an expert on this, so I'll tell you in general what I know. From what I know, those types of systems, acts, federal emergency response teams, FEMA, that doesn't ramp up typically before something has happened. That happens and ramps up once there is an emergency situation. So for that to happen, unfortunately, we would have to, see worst case scenario. All of these models, we have to plan absolutely for worst case scenario, but we may also see not much. We get to our islands and to the northwestern Hawaiian Islands marine debris every day in large quantities, in the tonnage. And that's typically what we deal with every year. We may see an increase in that sort of typical debris, which would be the best case scenario for us here. We are also planning for worst case scenario. But it would have to be potentially in the realm of worst case scenario for that system to ramp up. But we have asked that question. That is a good question.
All right, off the record, what is the worst case scenario in your opinion?
Sure. That's a good question. So off the record, what is the worst case scenario? And it could be on the record. Worst case scenario for right now, what we're looking at is the northwestern Hawaiian Islands. It it's difficult to even deal with a single vessel grounding up there. Worst case scenario is hazmat, multiple vessels reaching the northwestern Hawaiian Islands. They're just so far and remote and expensive to get to that even very little of this very large or potentially hazardous type debris getting up there right now would be a pretty bad case, particularly given that we have limited resources and limited funding to deal with it. But we are planning for that, and like I said, we keep on knocking on doors. Yes. Absolutely, yes. So we are reaching out to various experts in the field, and I'd like to actually get that name. It sounds familiar, so we might actually already have it on our subject matter expert group list. But if any of you know folks that should be on these lists for the expertise that they have, please feel free to let me know. One more. Oh, in the back. That's a good question. As the NOAA person here, am I responsible for the response and design plan? I sure hope not. I'm just kidding. We have a whole... They need to pay me more. We have a whole office, the Papahanaumokuakea Marine National Monuments. There is a NOAA staff, quite a contingency of folks within that office. There are also co-trustees of the monument. So the monument is tri-managed. NOAA, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and the state of Hawaii. So there's quite a lot of people who have expertise beyond my own, particularly for the northwestern Hawaiian Islands and the potential impacts and then response for that. So we have a whole team of folks.